Hello there everyone, today's video is all about employment income and whether or not it is taxable. So specifically in this case, this concerns a young lady who was studying to be a midwife, and she received some funds from the hospital that she was training on, which was subject to tax. And what happened was that she said, hang on a minute, that shouldn't be subject to tax, pay as you earn and national insurance, but it should be treated as scholarship income. So scholarship income, if it meets the criteria, will not count as taxable income. And unfortunately for her, it was held in this case that what she received was indeed taxable. So let's just have a little look at this. So timeline. So this individual was employed by a hospital, so she was an employee. But then she basically decided to change her career and train to be a midwife. So in the timeline, she gave up the position, the post that she was in, changed roles, but she actually went to university for a period of time. So she ceased being an employee on a wage. She went to university to study midwifery, however you say it. But she had to do practical experience of training. It wasn't just classroom based. So she was back in the hospital on the wards working certain shifts. And the hospital paid her for those shifts as part of her training, studying to be a midwife. And what they did, they withheld pay as you earn on the payments to her. And then she got talking to some friends of hers, some colleagues in similar situations, and they said, oh no, hang on a minute. You can claim that back. We'll come on to that. So back on the timeline, she did her however many years it was at university, combined with practical training on the wards, for which she got paid on the shifts, and then she took up a full-time employed position as a midwife with the hospital. So you can see the timeline is basically employee, student, but paid for shifts, and then employee. And she said, look, the bit in the middle, the stuff at the start and the end, I'm not contending that. Yes, I was an employee, but the bit in the middle when I was studying, that should be scholarship income, not employment income. Went to the tribunals said, no, the whole thing is employment income and it's subject to pay as you earn and income tax. So some takeaways from this as well, that she actually relied on some guidance from HMRC, which is a dangerous thing to do. The best guidance, if you will, for tax is the law, is to read the legislation. Because remember that HMRC's interpretation of the law is often different to tax advisors' interpretation of the law. Yes, the vast majority, we always meet, it's a meeting of minds and we agree on it, because the law, a lot of it is black and white. But a lot of it is not, it's ambiguous. And then you have these things like tribunals, because, you know, when is scholarship income not scholarship income? And then this sort of thing, when is it earnings? So, but she basically relied on some guidance from HMRC, which is always a dangerous thing to do. If in doubt, get a second opinion, or don't rely on the guidance, speak to a tax expert. But basically, she relied on some guidance from HMRC, so she got wind of the fact that this potentially was scholarship income, which was not taxable, but that guidance was subsequently updated by HMRC, so it was duff information. She also, like I said earlier, spoke to several colleagues in a similar situation, and they all managed to get refunds. So you can't blame her for trying. Why wouldn't she? But it doesn't mean to say that just because they got it that she would. And this, you know, it could have been that it was processed and in the machinery of HMRC, it wasn't picked up. Unfortunately for her, her case was picked up and it went all the way to the tax tribunal. And basically they said, no, look, this is one continuous employment to all intents and purposes. It was, yes, you went to uni in the middle for a bit and you did some shifts and got paid, but basically you can't class it as three separate employments. And I think that one of the things that unfortunately worked out against her was this pension scheme. She remained within the NHS pension scheme throughout. She didn't come out here at the point of starting uni, stay out for a year or whatever, how long the course was, and then go back in. She was in the NHS pension scheme continuous. And the tribunals, when they looked at everything in the round, they said, hey, come on, that all points to being an employee on a continuous basis because you were in the pension scheme all along. So just an interesting video on employment income there, and when is employment income not employment income, or in this case, when you think it's not, when it is. So I hope you found that an interesting video. As always, if you liked it, please do subscribe, and I'll see you soon.